Man, we got a lot to talk about today, y'all. It's been a minute, but yo, I'm back on Battlefield 6 after about a month of hiatus playing other games during this, little break that we had. It's been epic. You know what I'm saying? Jumping on some other stuff, Destiny Rising, Black Myth, Wukong, just kind of doing, finishing up on some loose ends, getting that under the belt. But, basically what happens with Battlefield is well, as we know, most live service games have seasons, right? And so once the season comes out, I grinded the hell out of Battlefield. I think I got a little bit over rank 100, and then around that time is when I finished the Battle Pass, and that's when I stopped playing. And I think that's when a lot of other people stopped playing the game as well, just waiting on the next season. I expect that the numbers are going to jump back up when the next season hits, so I'm not worried about Battlefield at all. But what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the video. This is Terebinth back with another, of course, FPS greatness. This is literally the first, like what you're seeing right now, this kill streak is the first thing that I did right when I loaded up this game for the first time after not playing for over a month. And well, I got to say, I'm back, baby, and I'm back like I never left. Just instantly kicking ass, you know what I'm saying? That's one thing I love about Battlefield. While it is a little bit of a twitch shooter, you win most of your battles here by playing with your mind. You understand? Like actually planning your positioning, moving around, moving more methodical, more tactical, like as if you would be in real life, you know what I'm saying? Because Battlefield a little bit more of a hectic game because wide open maps, you can get shot from anywhere, so you really got to play your angles right. But anyways, aside from Battlefield 6, which is really going to be hitting its stride within the next month or so, we also have Marathon. And man, I got to talk about Marathon, man, because what a damn difference this thing is looking out to be. I think this game is going to be in the position to succeed for the foreseeable future, or at least until until Grand Theft Auto takes over the whole industry, of course, right? One of the multiplayer standouts from the end of last year, Arc Raiders, captivated the minds over a lot of gamers, casuals, hardcore players. I didn't actually jump on board with Arc Raiders personally because it just seemed like it was a little bit more slow paced, a little bit more sluggish, which I feel it, I understand it. I understand what they're going for with their playing style, and I do like sci-fi, so anything that's sci-fi typically I'm on board with. And I'm not completely against extraction shooters. That's why I'm interested in Marathon. I actually like the idea of the extraction shooter if it's done right. I've experimented with certain games that kind of have that theme, and so I'm perfectly okay with that PvPvE, situation. Destiny Rising has a really good example of that. What they have a mode it's called Shifting Gates, where it has PvPvE. It's not an extraction mode, but having an entire AAA studio dedicate all of their resources for a particular game that be from the ground up built as an extraction shooter with the elements that come from games before it, I think Bungie might actually be onto something here. I'm hearing rumors about there being raids in the map. I'm talking about all types of contracts and factions that you can work for and actually get more interesting loot. And obviously with Arc Raiders being as successful as it is, I think Marathon is actually going to see an influx of players that are interested in Arc Raiders that are be coming over to Marathon. I'm actually hearing a lot of people, some streamers are even kind of waiting on Marathon because they feel like it kind of has the momentum that they're looking for in action-packed, gameplay. I think that FPSs are fundamentally different than third-person shooters, mainly because you're not using that third-person camera to peek around a corner, and so being in first person, you're going to need to actually get into the fight and come around that corner and expose yourself, and that's something that you're not going to see as much in a game like Arc Raiders. So Arc Raiders would be, while you could say that it's more casual, it's a little bit more campy because of that third-person angle. It's the same thing with Fortnite, right? Using that to peek around a wall, that's not something that you're going to have the luxury of in an FPS. And so with the FPS, having more tools at your disposal to be more reactive, to be more athletic, to maneuver the way you need to, I think they're doing something right with some of the classes in Marathon, and I've been paying attention to the developers and what they've been releasing lately, and I gotta say, it's looking like it's coming together. The graphics are looking good. We also have to talk about the PlayStation 5 Pro and how it's coming along into the next year, and I want to say, I'm gonna just say this straight up, 2026 is the year of the PlayStation 5 Pro, and that's just where the market is at right now. With all of the rises in prices for RAM, the drastic increases in prices for GPUs for the PC market, without Xbox having any roadmap for releasing their next-gen console or any refresh for the mid-gen for the Xbox Series, it looks like PlayStation's in the catbird seat to really just ease on through the rest of this generation, which very well could be extended by a few years, and that's only going to make the value of the PS5 Pro even better in today's market, okay? Of course, you got 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 RAM plus 2 gigabytes of GDDR5, which is excellent. That alone, I believe, goes for anywhere between $300 to $450 right now just for RAM. Now, imagine being a PC gamer and having to pay for RAM essentially twice, having to pay for the RAM with the actual system of the computer, and then also having to pay extra high prices for the GPUs that have an allocated amount of RAM to go beyond 12 gigabytes. That's going to be basically a tax on a lot of hardware moving forward. And so PS5 Pro is in a good spot right now. I could assume that maybe, I don't know, maybe there'll be a price increase in the future for the PS5 Pro, but I don't see that yet. And so right now, still a good chance to go ahead and get into this hardware to get ready for Grand Theft Auto 6. This is the time to do so. It looks like we have a decent lineup of hardcore first-person shooters that are going to hold us over until then. Of course, Battlefield 6 being the top-selling multiplayer shooter of last year, beating Call of Duty. Call of Duty's gone back to the drawing board. It's pretty much going to die off a lot sooner than Black Ops 6 did, so it looks like Battlefield is really just in its stride. All they need to do is just continue to release content, continue to listen to the fans, make the adjustments to the weapons, keep everything balanced the way it needs to keep everybody happy. And I think they also need to just straight up bring more incentive into the fray. Add more things to the battle pass, add more maps per season, add more weapons per season. Those are things that'll really help out. Maybe introduce some new game modes, maybe make some updates to Battlefield RedSec, which of course I'm going to be jumping back on RedSec with the boys. So stay tuned for some more gameplay regarding that in the future. When I look at Marathon, what I see is an opportunity for Sony to really push into a new narrative of first-person gameplay. From what I've seen in the developer diaries recently, introducing more information on the class system, it looks like there's going to be various types of metas to approach this game with. But I got to give credit to Arc Raiders, because them using a in-game voice chat, right, that you can use to speak to people that are in your vicinity is a very important community feature that Marathon is implementing. This needs to be talked about more, because it is because of communication that the entire game itself could shift. And what do I mean by that? Well, you're talking about a company that focuses on PvE games, right? Destiny 1 and 2, primarily a PvE focused game, okay? And so they're taking their expertise of PvE into a game that they've been marketing as something more of a PvP experience, but because you have that versatility, you have the ability to customize your kit, to use different cores, to give you different move sets, to get different combinations of how you want to approach the battlefield. And I think that's something that no other game is really doing right now. And when you add in the ability to communicate with other people, if you're a hardcore FPS gamer, you have complete dominion over whether or not you want to let that person survive or not. You can actually talk to that person and tell them, hey, I don't need to kill you. We could team up to go against these PvE robots, and we could just get tons and tons of loot. And that is exactly what makes games like Helldivers, what makes games like Arc Raiders more accessible to people. You know, Destiny is a game where people that are veterans, they're very keen to helping out newcomers. They're not necessarily bullies. And so even, and I can even see this happening even with squads of 3, you know, big squads that go in, they don't have to actually go and just slay everybody. And you could do that. If that's the kind of way you want to approach the game, definitely do that. But imagine being the kind of aggressor that protects other players from other aggressors, and then also helps to get loot. And then, of course, you have the whole raid functions. You have the 7-part built-in raid on some of these maps in Marathon that are going to give people the opportunity to find some interesting loot to really build their player. And I'm really curious to see just how in-depth the progression is on Marathon, because having an extraction shooter, you got to have elements that keep people coming back. You got to have something that's going to draw them back in, rather than just grinding a weapon like on Battlefield, or grinding for levels and that sort of thing. You need some kind of substance, something that shows that your character is actually progressing. And if there's any company that excels at that, it is Bungie, because they have that repertoire with Destiny. They see what their game and its sister company NetEase is doing with Destiny Rising, and I think that they're very well prone to taking on player feedback and making something that can last, something that can draw the attention of new players, something that can retain the attention of hardcore players, but still have something that caters towards everybody in their playing style. And it really just comes down to the matchmaking. It comes down to the performance of the game itself. It looks like it's not requiring anything too crazy on PC to run it, and it looks like we're probably going to be getting a really good performance mode that could probably go to 120 FPS on the PlayStation 5 and PS5 Pro. And so I'm really excited to see what's in store for 2026 for Sony. We got Soros, we got Grand Theft Auto, obviously PSSR, and then these two games, Marathon and Battlefield, are probably going to be the main two games that I'm going to be uploading to my channel in between my sessions and trying to chip away and finish up Black Myth Wukong, which has been excellent, by the way. And I'm really curious to see if this new PSSR update is going to make Black Myth Wukong's balance mode even better, because we already have the 60 FPS mode, and the game looks great as it is, but I imagine that perhaps this PSSR 2.0 can even make the balance mode run well over 50 FPS, and that's going to be great if that is the case. Well, that's it for today, man. I just want to briefly talk about some of the things that I've been keeping an eye on in the gaming industry. There's plenty more things to talk about, and I'll probably try to show up on either King Thrash or Porter Rock's podcast soon. For those of you that are following me from those outlets, definitely keep in touch. Let me know what's up. Post in the comments. Let me know what you're getting ready to play, because I'm letting you know right now, it's going down in 2026.